Zwei, and Servus, Grüezi, and welcome not to the best, not your favorite podcast with your favorite people host, your favorite breaking show, and my guest this time all the way from the USA, representing the New York City Breakers. Make some noise for B-Boy
Yeah,
London.
let's go. Let's make it happen.
First of all, thank you, sir, for taking your time. Uh, you are from a time where I was not even born yet. So shout outs to you, respect for you for being so long time in our culture and representing it till this day.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that, man. Just trying to do what I do.
Yes, I saw a clip of you in Instagram where you talked about the 80s, the New York City Breakers, and I thought, damn, I need to ask this guy to come to my show and talk a little bit, and let's hear some knowledge.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, Normally, when I have guests, I ask them, do you remember the first time that you saw something hip hop related? But I can't really ask you this question because, like, how I know you were there when everything started, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm born in 1966 in the
Yes.
South Bronx. Um, Born and raised. My mother Puerto Rican, my father Puerto Rican. My grandparents came to this country in the 40s, 50s. Like many of the other Puerto Rican people from this country, they migrated over here. The United States took over Puerto Rico in 1898 under the pretext that we were going to free Puerto Rico from the Spanish um, conquer. And
Mhm.
meanwhile, we got conquered. And long story short, after World War II, after they took the Puerto Rican community, recruited them to fight the wars, everybody came back and was looking for work, looking for opportunity.
Mhm.
And so the United States offered programs to try to get people to come to America to help build the country, make it a better place, if you will. And that's where you get the Great Migration. That's why there's so many Puerto Ricans in New York. That's why when you look at history, when it comes to New York history, when you look at B-boy history, when you look at Bronx culture, the Puerto Rican was there from the beginning because we were part of the building blocks, and not just the Puerto Rican community. Obviously, you have the Black community. We had Cubans, we had Jamaicans, we had just all cultures. And what made New York, specifically the Bronx, so special was that it wasn't one ethnic group. Man, we had everybody, man. Asian, white, black, Spanish, Jewish, yep, everybody. And that reflects when you look at the floor masters. We had Little Fast Break, white boy, Jewish. Back then, and we had Fast Break, African American. Obviously, most of the people from the floor masters were all Puerto Rican for the most part. So when you really look at the history, and this is what I try to tell people, y'all don't have to listen to me. At the end of the day, there are photographs, there's videos, there's movies, there's documentaries that all demonstrate that this culture was not created by one ethnic group. It's
Mhm.
impossible. It's
Mhm.
impossible.
Mhm. 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 So I guess I had Lino from Floor Lords on my
My
podcast.
man.
He also told me amazing stories. I met him in Switzerland. He came here for the United Styles qualifier and things. So that's why I could invite him to the podcast. And he told me like because we all know the stories like the of course the flyer from Kool Herc, and everything and how it started out. But he told me in the 70s you didn't have the name for it, right?
No,
All the terms we know nowadays that includes hip hop, this all came later, right, in the 80s. So during the 70s, when we get to know that it started back then, was it just like a movement? You didn't have the word for this, or was it just this is how you guys have been creative with your time?
ooh, what a great question. We call that human behavior,
Okay.
right? Whatever happens in your community that you feel is popular, that you feel is cool, the community is going to do.
Mm-hmm.
If the community decides, let's play baseball, then everybody's going to play baseball. Let's dance. Everybody's going to dance.
Mm-hmm.
Let's wear a Kango hat. Why are you wearing a Kango hat? Because you saw somebody say, yo, that looks dope. Yo, I
Yes.
want to rock that too.
Yes.
Oh, it's the same thing in the Bronx. You have a bunch of blacks and Puerto Ricans that are the predominant groups in the South Bronx. There are, like I said, there's Cubans, Dominicans, Haitians, Koreans, there's everybody. But the predominant groups in the late 70s, early 80s were Puerto Rican and black for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
In my crew, the Floor Masters, Flex, who moved out to Florida. That's why Miami got all their breaking stuff, right? He's Cuban. Like I told you before, Bebop, Fast Break, they're black. I'm Puerto Rican. Glide Master's Puerto Rican. Action's Puerto Rican. Icy Ice is Puerto Rican. Pex is everybody's basically Puerto Rican, and we're all from the same community, from the same neighborhood. So once one thing starts going, everybody else kind of starts doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? That looks dope. Yo, I'm gonna dress like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, I like those fat laces. I'm getting a pair of fat laces.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, I'm like those leads with the permanent crease. I'm getting a permanent crease.
Mm-hmm.
Yo, I like they're popping. I'm popping. Yo, they're breaking. I'm breaking. They're DJing. I'm DJing.
So
They're
how
rapping. I'm rapping.
so how did it start for you? You saw some guys get down, or you saw some writers, or how was it for you?
For me, it's a little tricky. For me, it really starts with just Soul Train, watching Soul Train, trying
Ah.
watching that, watching American Bandstand, watching variety shows like the Gong Show, things like that that we saw as entertainment. And
Mm-hmm.
we all wanted to be stars. We
Yeah.
all wanted to be celebrities. We all wanted to have recognition. We
Mm-hmm.
all wanted to have respect. So just like in any culture, if you're the best dancer, you're going to get respect.
Yes.
If you're the best athlete, you're going to get respect.
Mm-hmm.
If you're the best looking dude on the block, you're going to get respect. If you're the smartest guy, you got all the answers, you're getting straight A's, you're going to get respect. So
Mm-hmm.
whatever you do, you're trying to be the best at it.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. So that's what it is in the Bronx. You're competing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm faster than you. I can hit the ball farther than you. I can shoot better than you. I can dance better than you. I can get more girls than you. I get better grades than you. I'm gonna get a better job than you.
Mm-hmm.
So everything from the time we're born in the Bronx is about competing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm somebody you need to respect. I'm somebody you need to recognize. I'm somebody you need to appreciate. And if you don't, I'm gonna show you why you need to start doing
I
that.
mean, if you come from from humble beginnings, let's say it like this, respect is the only thing you really have. This is and street cred, right? So how can I imagine this? You are a young kid, you go outside of your house around the block in the hood, and then you just see B-boys get down?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah. So I started DJing in 1979. My
Mm.
best friend, his name is Rocky. Unfortunately, he passed away. But him and our friend Richie decided to buy DJ equipment. They wanted to start DJing and doing parties. So that's really how I really started to get really involved because now I'm DJing with them. Now I'm not the main DJ. Don't get me wrong. They're not hiring me. They're hiring my man.
Yeah.
But back then, you needed a crew because if you go do parties you're gonna get robbed. If I show up to do a party, it's just me and my man, we're going empty-handed.
And I
They
mean,
don't
you're
they're gonna
like
take
13, 14 years old back then. You can't really defend yourself against grown men.
yeah, sure, absolutely. We're just all teenagers. We're all kids. Whether you're 12, 15, 16, 17, we're all kids. When you look at hip hop, when you look at American culture, and you look at the changes that America had to go through, that was always led by young people. I
Hmm.
don't care if you talk about the civil rights, I don't care if you talk about hip hop, whatever you're talking about when you research history, the people that create the most impact are young people.
Yeah.
When Malcolm X, when Dr. King, when Stokely Carmine, when all of these religious people came in and started fighting for civil rights. I don't care if it's Rosa Parks. I don't care if it's whoever you mention. These are grown adults that finished school. Many of them went to college. They're in their 20s or 30s.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then you have the famous scene in Alabama where they sent the dogs, the fire department, after the kids who were protesting. And that's the footage you see where the fire hoses are washing down the people, the
Yeah.
dogs are biting everybody.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see the police beating them down.
Hmm.
That footage was the start of what was called the civil rights changes in the law.
Hmm.
Because when the world got to see those horrific images, they were like, "Oh my God, like what the hell is happening in America?"
Yeah.
And then the president and Congress and everybody else started to implement laws and make changes to make things a little bit better.
Hmm.
But let's not be fooled. Growing up in the Bronx back then, you're always fighting,
Hmm.
physically fighting, mentally fighting. If you're not fighting the police, you're fighting the gangs. If you're not fighting the gangs, you're fighting your community. If you're not fighting community, you're fighting in your school.
Yeah.
But it was very violent. I
Mhm.
used to fight every day. I became a really good fighter without being trained.
Yeah.
And people used to think, oh, you trained? Nah, but when you do something every single day, you get good at it.
So the cliche is kind of right when we say we don't wanted to fight, so we danced against each other.
Yes and no. Because when we dance against each other, we want no fighting afterwards. You know, so that's not really 100% true. I
Okay.
can't tell you. I've been in battles where we battle and we fight, and I've
Okay.
been in battles where we just battle.
Yeah.
But the real truth, that's just propaganda. That's just that sounds like a good story.
Okay, I
You
see.
know, that started because of a misunderstanding where police were called in to deal with a situation where they thought it was gang related,
Hmm.
and they were up rocking. They were doing the rock dance, and because it looked like they were fighting, they arrested everybody.
I
And they were just saying we were just dancing, we weren't fighting. This is the way, and that's how that story got really.
okay, I see.
It was a great story. Wait a minute, you guys are not you're not fighting, you're dancing. How
Yeah.
cool is that? Kids from the South Bronx, they're not fighting, they're dancing,
Yeah.
and they went along with it.
Nice. Yeah. And you mentioned battles, right? And nowadays, 2025, we have organized events almost every week. We've invited judges, with DJs, MCs. Everything is professional. As many are professional, a lot of them are amateurs. How was it back then? I mean, Lino told me there was only block parties, right? Where people met, they had fun, and when the DJ played music that the breakers liked, they get down.
Yeah. So for me, before the block party, there was the house party,
Mm.
basement party.
Hmm.
We would have in the Bronx, we'd have buildings, and all of these buildings were kind of connected. So you had like these back alleyways where you can go, and the roofs, if you go all the way to the roof, you can go from one roof to the next building, to the next building, to the next building, go all the way down, come out the building, go to the next. So that was a way for us to escape. So we could run the streets and we being chased. We go into the building, go to the roof, roof hop from hop to hop to hop, go down to the other building, get out. So in these buildings, they also had these big, ginormous basements.
Hmm.
And in these basements, they had these open areas where we would go down there, set up the equipment, throw in a little black strobe light, flashing light, and we just get down. Nobody cared.
Nice.
Nobody cared. You know what? The kids are keeping themselves occupied. They're out of trouble. They're not robbing nobody, not stabbing nobody. We know where they're at. They're good.
Yes.
Cool. And that was it. Cops knew it. Parents knew it. Kids knew it. Nobody cared.
Ah, nice. So they never interrupted you and came like a.
We got away with murder. Think about this. We would go to the block party and take electricity from a light pole and jam in the street with music, speakers, dancing, shut the whole thing down. And the cops didn't do anything. Sit there in the cop car, just watching, chilling.
Damn.
They didn't say, hey, what are you kids doing? Today, if I go right now to the park and I just bring a speaker, they're like, where's your sound system? Where's the permit? Where's your fee? Where's this? It wasn't like that. We
Hmm.
could open up the fire hydrant, water pouring out all day, all night, kids playing in the middle of the street.
Hmm.
Cops walk by, no problem.
Hmm.
Kids hanging out 2, 3 in the morning, no problem.
So who organized the best house parties?
Man, I mean, to me, they were all great. I mean, you know,
I mean, but was there like a guy you knew when he's calling, you have to go?
well, I mean, I don't know because we were kids. We wanted to go to every party. It
Okay.
didn't matter, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
For us, you got to remember, we're in junior high school and in high school.
Hmm.
So when you get to junior high school, your hormones are changing. You get into girls now. Your fashion is coming into place now. So now you're going to these parties. You're trying to pick up girls. You're trying to be cool. You're trying to be in the in crowd.
Hmm.
And so you do what you have to do to survive, but you also do what you have to do to fit in,
Hmm.
and that means good and bad.
Hmm.
Because in the early days, you had to do some stuff that maybe you're not so proud of. But
Hmm.
you had to do what you had to do to survive.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, where you live is where you live. And if it's dangerous and it's a war zone and people are dying, then you got to do what you got to do to survive.
Hmm.
And so that's where the gangs were so important. I mean, they were great and they were bad. They did some bad shit, but they also helped people like me. I didn't have to do crazy shit because they thought that I was special. They thought I was cool. They thought that I was going to be the one to help everybody in the block. So I didn't have to do a lot of stuff that other people had to do because they protected me. But that wasn't always like that. It
Hmm.
wasn't like they saw me and they said, "Okay, I like this guy." It was a process. One day, I used to flip baseball cards. We would collect baseball cards when we were small. And in the baseball cards, we would flip them. And we basically flipped them. And then if the colors match, I win. If they don't, so that's how it worked. And we would collect baseball cards. One day, there was a guy named Little Man, notorious. Everybody feared him. Ruthless, ran the Bronx. Everybody knows Little Man. He came in and he robbed everybody. Now, I was in junior high school, so I don't even know what grade. I'm probably in the fifth grade. No, I don't even know. This had to be, I would think 75, somewhere around there.
Hmm.
Anyway, he came to rob everybody, and I wasn't giving up my baseball cards. And I'm a little kid. Hey, he could knock me out if he wanted to. But I'm like, no. He's like, yo, everybody, turn your pockets out. Gotta pull them out where they see the white linen. Everything gotta come out. Give me everything. And I'm like, hell no. Nah. Like, you gonna fuck me up? Fuck me up? But I'm not giving this up. And because I was like, nah, like whatever. Like I'm gonna catch it, but I'm not doing it. But because I was like that, he said, yo, how does the smallest kid got the most heart? From now on, nobody mess with this guy right here. We got you. Any problems, you call me. And from that point on, I became a B-boy, but I wasn't a dancer. I became a B-boy, but I wasn't into the gang community. I was a B-boy because I'm like, nah, I believe in what I believe. We're gonna stand up for what we stand up, and we're gonna get down how we get down.
So,
That attitude is what a real B-boy is.
mm,
Crazy? You coming to my block? Nah. We're gonna do what we gotta do. That's a B-boy, a bad boy. I'm bad. Not bad meaning bad, but bad meaning good. That's the original term. When Kool Herc comes into place, he uses a term that's also called B-boy, but he uses it differently because his B stood for the break of the record. If you look at the early articles, when they interviewed a lot of people from the 70s and the early 80s, there are articles where they interview these people. And Kool Herc was one of them. And he said that they got this new thing called break. No, I'm sorry, not break beats. They call them B beats. And the guy says, B beats? He goes, yeah, the B stands for break beats. So if you're calling your break beats B beats, and now you're seeing all these B-boys getting down, and now you say, since I'm playing the break beats, and I know the B-boy is a bad boy, but I'm Kool Herc, and the B-boy for me stands for break boy, so I'm gonna play this break, and boy, you better break, and now you're the B-boy.
mm.
So because a lot of dancers started to go to his parties, they embraced that, especially if you are a B-boy. And what I try to explain to people who disagree with me is, again, I'm born and raised in the Bronx. When I'm growing up and I'm watching these B-boys, I didn't see them dance. Yo, check out those B-boys down the block. Yo, let's go check them out, see what they're about. I didn't see them doing head spins. I didn't see them breaking. I didn't see them popping, locking. I saw them dressing a Kango fat, like, nigga, what? I was like, yo, those some real B-boys right there. Yo, what you doing? Yo, we just chilling. What's up? Said, oh, okay. Y'all had that shit on lockdown.
So from the break boys, the whole mentality, the stance, the flavor, it
That's the
all comes from the bad boys.
right. because there was no breakboard. Breaking didn't exist.
Yes.
The origins of breaking, and I did this in 1998. I did an event called Back to Mecca. And the significance of Back to Mecca is several. That's where El Nino made his debut. He battled Cross One. That's where K-Mel battled Storm. But that's the event where I flew in Don Campbell, Boogaloo Sam,
Ooh, all the
Poppy,
OGs. All the
all
OGs.
Fred Rerun, Skeeter Rabbit, Wiggles, Fable, Mr. Freeze, Clown, all of these OGs. I brought in my group, New York City Breakers. Rocksteady was there. Dynamic, who wasn't even together. Now think about this. When I come back in the 90s, there is no Dynamic. There's no New York City Breakers. There's no Scrambling Feet. There's nothing. There's a handful of guys that are breaking. Storm comes out here from Germany with his brother and his crew, only to find out, yo, what happened to the Bronx? What happened to New York? You're supposed to be the king. And there's nobody dancing? A handful of people? So to me, in many ways, Storm helped bring this whole thing back by just us saying, you still break? Nah, come on. What? Yo, you nice. Oh, yo, start practicing. These dudes from Europe are killing it. That made us feel embarrassed. Like something that we created, something that we started, we stopped. And now California's killing it. West Coast is smashing it. Europe smashing it. And New York, they're asleep. So Storm, when he comes over, he wakes everybody up. Now, how do I know? Because I get a phone call. Yo, these girls are coming in here. Yo, everybody gotta get back into shape. Yo, let's go. Everybody. And that's what started the whole awakening. So in 1998, when I create Back to Mecca, I do it because what I'm hearing and what I lived was not matching up.
Yeah.
This culture was not started by Rocksteady. They deserve a lot of respect and credit. But they weren't the first B-boys. And with all due respect, they weren't the best. They were super dope. And maybe at one time they were the best. But when Floor Masters step in, that changes history. That's it. It changes everything.
So you already mentioned Rocksteady were not the first B-boys, right? And we also know that rocking was before breaking.
Correct. Right? That's the father of breaking.
So, in your opinion, who do you think were the first B-boys? Or is there a first B-boy?
There's it's so funny. There is no way that you can say I'm the first B-boy.
Yes, yes.
It's impossible.
Yes.
It's impossible.
Yes.
Impossible. Impossible. And I respect the first generation, but I can tell you one thing. I've been around a long time, and those dudes are older than me. I never, with all due respect, heard of any of them. The nigga twins for sure. Those are my people. But when I speak about history, I speak through documentation. I don't speak like, when I first started speaking, it's so funny. Yeah, were you there? Were you there in 1971? Were you there in 1973? How can you talk if you wasn't there? And I said, man, that's a great, what? You know what? I wasn't there when George Washington became America's first president, but I know he was our first president. I wasn't there when the dinosaurs were roaming the earth, but I know they were here. So I don't need to be here. I don't need to be here in 1800 to know something happened. There's DNA, there's research, there's fingerprints, there's videos, there's movies. There's so much research that you can do to piece this together. And that's what I did in 1998. So when you look at that footage, you see all the original poppers, the original lockers, the original rockers. Because nobody before I come back was talking about rock dance is the original dance, not breaking.
Yeah.
And when I said this, I got criticized. What did they say? Oh, you're bugging. That was Kool Herc. Even Kool Herc got on me. I said, Herc, you deserve mad respect. But you deserve respect because you were the first one to play break beats back to back to back to back to back again. No one did that before you. You play breaks, Hollywood played breaks. Mario played breaks. Flash played. A lot of dudes played breaks. But he was the only one to say, I'm going to play this break beat to this break beat to that break beat to that break beat to that break beat, and I'm going to call it the merry-go-round. That's what made people say, yo, let's go to his parties. Because he's focusing on us. Who's us? The dancers. Well, if you're focusing on the dancers, that shows and that demonstrates that the dance was already here, because Kool Herc is changing his style of playing music to cater to who? The B-boys, the dancers, the breakers, the rockers. It didn't have a name. There was no breakers back in 1973. That word did not exist. The word B-boy did not exist in that way as a break boy. And so when you hear people say, listen to the crews, the names of the crews, because that's what I said. It was my interview that said, look at all the original crews. Rock Steady Crew. If it was a B-boy and the B stood for break boy, then it should have been the Break Steady Crew. Why is it Dynamic Rockers? Then they became Dynamic Breakers.
Bro, I get goosebumps.
Right. Coke La Rock. Star Child La Rock.
Yeah.
T La Rock.
Yeah.
Show me the word break or B-boy in 1971, 1972, 1973, 1974. Show me that in an article. Show me that on the shirt.
Yeah.
Show me that on the graffiti tag.
Yeah.
Anything.
Yeah.
Show you the rock dance before all of that.
Yeah.
I can show you in the Latin culture, people doing real footwork. Not a corkscrew, not a split. I mean footwork. Footwork. Salsa. And then they hit on the floor and they're doing footwork.
Yeah.
The 6-step, the 4-step, the 3, these are all foundational moves that were created in the Puerto Rican community. I should say the Hispanic community. These are foundational moves. This all comes from the rock dance. Look how they get down on top. You can see how we changed it. So when I hook up with the rock dancers, I break that all down to them. See how y'all do this? This is how we do it. See how y'all break this down? This is how we break it down. I said, you know why it looks different when we do it? Because when y'all stop dancing, y'all never pass that knowledge down. So whatever we saw, yeah, it looked like he did this. All right, yeah, all right, cool, let's go with that. We did the best that we could.
Yeah.
It wasn't like y'all were teaching us. It wasn't like y'all were showing us. When y'all broke out, and that was it.
Yeah.
We did the best that we could. So we took that rock dance and made it into a break dance. And that's what it really is.
And I mean, rocking is only standing up, right? And what makes breaking, I mean, is footwork, right? This is our main thing. This is what separates us from all the other dances, right? Because nobody has footwork like we do. So is it fair to say that because it's in your tradition, in your heritage, that I say now, Spanish-speaking people were the first to go down after rocking on top?
I mean, who knows? All I can tell you is this. When you look at the rock dance, that dance comes out of the Puerto Rican community. It was in the 60s that they started doing that. You had the Latin Boogaloo. So you got to remember that the Puerto Ricans that come to New York, for the most part, don't speak really English, maybe a little bit. So when the Puerto Rican community comes to New York, you have to remember the American history. The American history and culture was to bring free men and to enslave them, strip them of their language, strip them of their religion, of the culture, of everything. So when the Puerto Ricans start to migrate to New York, it's the Puerto Rican community that brings in the drums, the African drums, bomba, plana, all of that, salsa, all of that is created in the Puerto Rican community. Why? Because Puerto Ricans are Black. We're also Taino, and we're also Spaniard. So all of those things we take and we incorporate and we create our own culture. And we bring that to New York and we show the New York community, Black, white, and everything else. This is where we come from. This is how we get down. This is where our drums come from. And so when the Puerto Rican and the Black community come together, it's a beautiful match. Why? Because in the center of all of this is the music. And if you really understand music, that's what brings us all together. And that's why if you listen to the early hip hop, every hip hop track has a Latin swing to it. I don't care if you're talking about These Are the Breaks, where they use, I don't care if you're talking Casper and the Funky Bunch. He did an album, a mambo album, all in Latin. Why? Because mambo ruled the world. You couldn't work in New York City if you didn't have a band that played Latin music. There were no DJs. What are you going to play? It was mambo. Mambo ruled the world, everything. And so what happened? Those got, who are they? Cubans, Puerto Ricans, right? This is the Caribbean islands are coming to New York, bringing in their culture, right? Jamaicans coming in, bringing in their culture. Puerto Ricans coming in, bringing in their culture. Haitians, culture. Dominicans, everybody. It's the melting pot. And what drives all of this together is that we're all living in an impoverished community trying to be a somebody, because we're not a nobody, we're a somebody. And we did that. We changed the world. Mm-hmm. It's unfortunate that the adults came in and said, wow, look at what we saw. Look what we discovered. Wow, you know what? We can make money. You know what? We can pay these kids. We can put them in videos. We can put them in movies. Yeah. We can manage them. Hey, you know what? Let me manage you guys. You guys can make some money. And of course, we're kids. Yeah, all right, cool. But we didn't make any money. Who made the money? The adults. Yeah. The adults that said, let me take these photos. They made the money. Yeah. The adults that said, let me record you guys. They made the money. Mm-hmm. Who didn't make the money? The artists. The kids that put the blood, sweat, and tears. We didn't make any money. And now that breaking made a resurgence by who? The kids that were now adults. Myself, Cross One, all of these people that started to do events. Speedy Legs in Miami with Zulu Gremlin. Right? You had all these people that started. Little Caesar, Radiotron. We were all the little kids that are now putting in work again in the 90s. And so what happens? Corporation, the adults come in. Wow, look what these kids are doing. They don't know shit. They didn't go to school for this. They don't know anything about marketing, planning, organizing. Hey, listen, come here. I can sponsor you guys. I'll tell you what, I'll give you a check for $10,000. $10,000. Hey, sponsored by Red Bull. Sponsored by Monster Energy Drink. But they're not into culture. Those companies are there to make money, and I'm not knocking them. We all should try to make money.
It's a bit for them. It's a business at the end of the day, you know.
Absolutely, it's a business. So I'm not going to criticize them. I might be doing business with them, but I'm going to be honest. They didn't contribute in that way, and it's not really their fault, because I look at it like this: if I'm Red Bull, I don't know shit about breaking, the Bronx, hip hop, nothing. So I'm gonna find somebody. So I'm going to Google whatever comes up. Oh, well, let's hire him. Oh, man, that didn't work out. Google, let's get this guy. And they just go through it.
Very easy replaceable, right?
Absolutely.
What I also want to talk about, because it's very important also for me, is the fashion, right? Because our culture has a distinctive way of dressing, right? Nowadays, it's really lost. You know, you don't see any more people representing their crews on their back, you know, the name, like color coordinated, everything, you know? So who influenced the fashion back in the day?
That's a good question. You know, fashion is important in the sense that, you know, it gave you style, identity, right? It was almost like putting a spotlight on you. Whoa, look at this person. So that's really what it was. And I think what we did as kids, when I look at it, to be honest with you, we took poor things and made them look rich. That's really what it was. Mock necks, that wasn't like $100 shirts, but we made it stylish. You know what I'm saying? You know, Lee's, they weren't, you know, Levi's. They weren't $40 jeans. You know what I'm saying? We did what people don't understand is real history. Let's take Puma, the sneaker. The significance of Puma in New York culture is profound. Why? In 1968, they had the Olympics. And in that Olympics, there's a famous photo of John Carlos with his hand up in the air. They just won from the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
What people don't realize is that in 1968, the shoes that they were wearing on that famous photo that took the whole world was Puma. So that sneaker, for me, became a symbol
Okay, I see. Yes.
of resistance,
Mhm.
protest. We're somebody. Let's go. People don't realize the connection because they don't really do their research. They don't do their homework. They just talk a lot of mess because they make it about themselves. That's why Puma was so strong in the hood. I feel you. Black Panthers, I feel you. Young Lords, I feel you. We with you. We rocking Pumas now. Where did Puma come from? So that's what it is. There's a connection to all of this.
Mm-hmm.
Walt Clyde Frazier, New York Knicks, the first athlete to get sponsored. By who? Puma. Walt Clyde Frazier, New York Knicks, baby. Let's go. You rocking with us. Let's go. You and you from New York. 1973, we the world champs. We rocking Pumas. We rocking the floor. We killing it all. The world is focused on me. We doing it. That was our rallying cry. That was our signal. We here. We are somebody. We in the middle of the hood. No money. Buildings burning down. Gangs. It's crazy. But the whole world is watching me. I made it. I feel special. I am special. Y'all can't tell me nothing. We the real Bronx B-boys. We the real Bronx cats. We laying down real history, real information. And we put all these cats on. And we're not here to say, we helped y'all. We're just here to say, man, I'm just glad I was a part of the show. Thank God I was born in the Bronx. Thank God for 1966. Thank God that my mother and father came from PR with their mother and fathers and came out here and made it a home.
Mm-hmm.
Because if they would have did it in Brooklyn, my whole history would be different. If they did it in New Jersey, my whole existence would be different. But they did it in the South Bronx. And that's how I got down with Floor Masters, New York City Breakers. That's how I became part of the John F. Kennedy High School breaking team. That's how we got on MTV when we battled all of the high schools in 1985 and won. That's how we got into Crush Groove. Curtis Blow was one of the judges. He saw us, was like, "Whoa, yo, y'all need to do this movie with me. Let's go." And next thing you know, we're filming Crush Groove. So breaking created a lot of opportunity for people like myself that maybe would not have had an opportunity. So I'm never going to knock breaking.
No, I mean, for me, it's the same. All I have in my life is because my friend showed me six step. You know, everything I have is because of breaking. So I'm also on a mission, you know, to to uh, to uh, to spread our knowledge, you know, and spread our word, you know.
For
Uh,
sure.
you talked before, we said the house parties, right? So when did it transition to the block parties and why?
Well, all I can tell you is, I mean, there was always, well, so block parties, the way that I'm assuming you're talking about is with the big speakers, getting light from the electricity,
I
the
mean,
light.
like we heard about and we saw pictures about, you know, this is how we in Europe get to know the term block party, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So basically, we would do house parties, right?
Hmm.
House parties probably started, I don't even know when, but probably before I was born,
Hmm.
right? Because back in the days when you were struggling, you do these called like these rent parties. Everybody would chip in and you collect all the money, and that's how you pay your rent. And then everybody would take turns. So these were rent parties. And these rent parties became just regular parties. So the parties were always there. Since I was small, I mean, my grandmother, one of the best memories that I have as a kid is every single year going over there for holidays. And it was always a party, 40, 50 people dancing, drinking, partying, eating. So since I'm born, I'm just exposed to all of that. And it's so funny because now I do parties in my house. I got 40, 50 people from the neighborhood, all my sons. It's just so it's so funny how when you're young, you don't realize that these things you go through, they leave an impression. And without you even thinking about it, you just do it. And now that I'm older and I reflect, I'm like, wow, why did I start playing basketball? Because my father used to play basketball.
Mhm.
Why did I start getting involved into community and politics? Because my father was involved in that. Why did I get involved with this? I realized because my grandmother, my mother, all these little things. Now when I look back, I can see why I'm the way that I am.
Mhm.
I'm argumentative, not because I like to argue, but because I feel like there's a lot of misinformation out there. And then what happens is because we want to make money or we want to be stars, we don't put out the right information.
Yeah, just the one that sells the most, right?
So if I'm the first breaker, then I should get paid the most. I
Yeah.
should get called first.
That's bullshit. That's all bullshit.
Because I
But
tell you, I'm not the
thinking about the block parties, we know the famous flyer, right, from Kool Herc. Have you been to this event?
I've never been to a Kool Herc party because, well, first of all, the party in 1973, that's not an accurate flyer. I think I've already been debunked. So that's not a real flyer.
Okay.
Now the event is real,
Okay.
but the flyer, someone made that flyer up maybe 15 years ago and put it out there.
Ah.
Flyer, that's not accurate.
So
You,
was it more word to mouth?
yeah,
How you say to mouth?
word of mouth, word of mouth. Yeah.
It's word to mouth, right?
Well, it's interesting because the whole thing is that all the parties basically were word of mouth or little paper flyers that you'd
Yeah.
have. But, to me, 1973 is not accurate. It's impossible.
Mhm.
Because if you say hip hop started in 1973, because that's when Kool Herc did his first party, there were no breakers in that party. There were no graffiti writers. There were no rappers, right? There was nothing hip hop about that party.
Because what I heard is that bec at this particular party, all the elements came together.
No, no, no. There was nobody breaking in 1973, although they like to say that.
Mhm.
Because like I tell people, okay, you break in 1973, you at that Kool Herc party. First of all, it's August. So you're closer to 1974 than 1973.
Mhm.
That's number one, right? So you're already towards the ending of the year. Number two, there were no breakers, not one, not one, not one, not one. The room that he did this party in maybe could hold 50 people, maybe. So it's not very big, not very big at all. So, you know, if you start breaking, you're going to form a circle. Well, if you form a circle, then nobody could dance
Mhm.
because the room is not big enough. The room is not big. If you can't hold more than 100 people standing up, you can't hold more than 100. It's impossible.
Mhm.
If you form a circle, how? Like, it's in, so there were no breakers. The twins were there. Nobody was breaking. Nobody hit the floor. So when you start really researching it, like I said, when you start looking at the article, when you start looking at the interviews they did in 79, 80, 81, then you get a more clarification. So if one was to say that in 1973, that's the start of hip hop because Kool Herc did his first party, then that would be like me saying, well, I started breaking in 1977 because I saw a movie called Saturday Night Fever.
Mhm.
That was my beginning.
Yeah.
I could say I was breaking in 1971 because I saw Soul Train
Mhm.
and I was trying to lock. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Right? That's the
Your
first time
point,
I
yeah.
saw it. There's no
So,
breaking.
so if I just ask your personal opinion, right? Because this is the only thing we can do, right?
All right.
What do you think could be a birth year for our culture?
For me, I would say 75 would be the earliest.
75.
I think that would be the best year for me because to me, Kool Herc does that party in 73. He doesn't develop that merry-go-round system until later on, like a year later. So then you're not playing break beats. There is no MC. There is no breaker,
Mhm.
right? So that takes a while before it starts to get to that point, right? You don't just say, okay, I want to break it, and tomorrow you're doing windmills and headspins. That's not realistic. So it takes time. To me, when you talk about breaking, let's talk about like some of the crews. So who the first crews, right? If Africa Bambaataa best friend died, and then that's what sparked the beginning of what's to become the Zulu Nation, and I believe that's in 75, 74. Then how can any of this stuff start before Africa Bambaataa says, I'm going to create this organization that later becomes the Zulu Nation? So if that's something that's important, and it is, I believe his Solski, I believe was his name. That was Bambaataa's best friend, I believe, who passed away. And that's in the newspapers, documented. So that means that that death, hip hop cannot start before that.
Yeah.
Because if Bambaataa says, after my best friend died, that made me want to organize and get away from the violence. And that's how I came up with the idea from the organization, which later became the Zulu Nation.
Yeah.
Then there's no way that you can say this thing started in 73. Right? So when all of this, in my view, right? Some people might say 73, some people might say 74, 75, some people might say later. But to me, when you talk about hip hop the way we see it, to me, I feel that's 75. That's the beginning. I think it probably hits its groove in 77. 77 to me is the magic year.
Was there a specific event that happened?
The blackout was important. You had the blackout that was major. You had Saturday Night Fever that also came out. So disco was big. Saturday Night Fever was big. You had the blackout, which big, because you got to remember that New York was burning. Not only was it burning, but it was a lot of craziness between heroin, between the drugs, between the gangs, between the police beatings and all the craziness that happened. You know, there was a lot of craziness. New York was very violent. It was, I think it might have been maybe #1 murder capital in the world at one point. You know, I know we were #1 in the fires. I mean, where I lived, the whole block was gone. There was no buildings across the street. Everything was burned down. Everything. There was nothing there. You look at pictures of Gaza, that's what the Bronx looked like. You see like whole blocks demolished, that's what it was like. Literally, whole entire blocks were gone. And now you look at it, it looks completely different. And that's what I tell people. These images are there. They exist. You can see them. It's not like they're not there. You know, so all of this stuff, when I tell people and I share history, is I try to do it through photos, videos, news articles, interviews, because I want to be accurate. Because there's a lot of people that make it about themselves.
Yes.
Right. I'm
I
the
was
first
there.
MC.
I need the invitation.
Right.
I need this. I need that.
And to me, if you were there, that doesn't make you credible. You know what I tell people? And that's what I do when I do my lectures, when I do my speeches. I ask people this. And I'll ask you, do you believe if someone commits a crime and you have proof, like a videotape, do you think if you see the proof of them committing a crime, they should be punished for that crime? Do you agree with that?
Of course.
What if you don't have any proof? Do you think they should still be punished? Maybe they should go to jail with no proof?
I mean, with no proof, you can't really. I mean, it's just if you believe he's lying or not, then yeah.
Right. So what I've learned in my life is that the best evidence is not eyewitness. How many times have we seen or heard about in court when people say I witnessed this, and then they were wrong?
Yeah.
They made a mistake.
Yeah.
Right. But you know what doesn't make a mistake? Video documentation. You know what else doesn't make a mistake? Fingerprints. You know what else doesn't make a mistake? DNA.
Yeah.
So when I speak to people, I try to explain to them, talk to me in that language. Don't tell me that you saw this, you did that, and you have nothing to back that up. Because that's, to me, that's not credible. Right? To me, what's credible are when you have multiple witnesses.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if I ask somebody who's your age and in your era, you know, he can just make stuff up. you know, just to make him look good. So you have a very good point there. I want to ask you about the battles, right? Already said in the beginning, we have now organized events with everything and have a time schedule, anything. When was the last time you entered a battle, or was there even battles, organized battles when you had your battles?
Oh no, nothing was organized. Organized in the sense like, yeah, we'll meet you at this place. That's it.
Yeah,
But today,
this is my question. So you never entered an official breaking event?
well, I mean, like MTV in 1985, like I told you, there was
Yeah.
a battle of the high schools.
Yes, yes,
So,
yes, yes, yes,
right, we did that in 1985. I went to John F. Kennedy High School, uh,
yes.
and we became the Kennedy Breakers, and we entered that competition.
Ah, okay.
We battled all the high schools,
And
and we
was it similar like nowadays, like the time limit maybe or rounds
well,
or
it was back then. From what I remember, was it was right after B Street, so they still it was at the Roxy's, so they still had the stage. It
yeah?
was the same exact stage.
Ah, nice,
It's beautiful, yeah. It had the big thing at the end of that
nice.
stage. Everybody's dancing. That's where we had the battle. And Curtis Blow was one of the judges. There was like four judges, celebrities, and basically, yeah,
Okay.
it was like whatever group was it, you got whatever 5 minutes, go. And then everybody took,
Ah,
and at the end of
okay.
all of that, then
Yes,
they
yes,
put it who the winner was.
yes, I
But it
see.
wasn't like a straight battle. That didn't happen till later on when we
Yeah.
started the events.
Mhm,
Basically, the only thing that was organized was just basically I'll meet you at this club or I'll meet you at this school and
mhm,
we'll battle there, something like that.
mhm.
Or you just showed up. Like
Yeah.
one time, Vince Gallo, who's a director and is an actor, he was like our assistant manager. He took us all to the Lower East Side to battle scrambling feet, and we all jumped in the van and we all just rolled down there. We saw it, we jumped out the van, like let's go. And we started battling right there on the spot, you know. So sometimes we would do stuff like that, just pop up and just
Yeah.
catch you
Yeah.
know, um, there were times when you just get challenged. I remember Burn one going into a place and he saw me and just walked in right to me. Bang, let's go. I was like, the fuck?
Buddha Stretch told me a story. They came up to his crib and ring the doorbell. His mother opened the door and they asked, "Yeah, is your son at home?" Yes. He came to the door and said, "Hey, we want to battle you. Come outside."
Yeah, that's how it was. Because it was about a reputation. It
Nice.
was whoever you thought was the best or whoever had that clout, whoever had that status,
Mhm,
you going after it,
mhm.
you know.
Uh, so, do you watch regularly events nowadays and how they are structured? Do you visit organized breaking events?
I try to support as much as I can. I
Mhm,
mean, there's some politics, so I try to stay away from that. But
mhm.
I like to support. I'm really trying to support the young kids.
Yes.
I'm really trying to support because I feel like for me, if you're from the '70s, if you're from the '80s, man, we already had our time.
Yes.
Stop making it about us.
Yes,
It's
yes,
not about
definitely.
us no more.
Mhm.
Now to me, I really want to promote the B-boys from the '90s and the 2000s because that's the generation I feel got us to where we are today.
Mhm.
Not just them, because obviously it started before that, but when I was doing my events, and keep in mind, I did the Pro Am with Speedy Legs and Grems. I was their partner. A lot of people didn't know that. I
Mhm.
did Back to Mecca and I did Battle of the Boroughs, all in the 90s.
Mhm.
Those events were the events that helped propel all of this.
Mhm.
Again, in America, because outside of America, in Europe, it was a smash. California, they were killing it. But in New York, it wasn't what people try to make it seem. Oh, it died. I'm
Mhm.
telling you, there was a handful of people compared to 10,000 B-boys in 1983 to 10 in
Crazy.
1990.
That's crazy. But what do you know the reason why it died out? Was it just not cool anymore or?
Exploitation, because it got so popular and so many people wanted to make so much money that they'll take any breaker, any B-boy.
Yeah.
I need some headspin. I can do three. Oh, that's good enough. Get three. All right, cook. So it was when you look at, I mean, just even the Flintstones were breaking. I'm watching the Flintstones and I'm seeing Fred Flintstone doing head spins. I'm like,
Yeah,
what the
yeah, yeah.
hell?
I always say breaking is the highest level of dancing. And if you see something with background dancers, they always use B-boys and B-girls. So nobody can tell me shit about that. Yeah.
No.
Um, so unfortunately, bro, we don't have so much time anymore because I miscalculated some hours. But we want to make the segments I do with every guest of mine, right? So your fave five. So we always start classic. Your favorite five b-boys all time. It doesn't have to be an order, like number one, number five. Just give us five names.
Man, that's hard. That's impossible. Five. Woo, man.
I mean, there can be three too.
Well, I got like 10.
Then then
To
give me
me,
10G.
Okay, I'll say this. To me, my favorite b-boy of all time is Powerful Pecs.
Nice.
He to me is the first one that put this all together.
Hmm.
The style that you see today, that's the New York City Breaker style. That's Pecs. Footwork, style, character, power, combinations, everything looks beautiful. He's the first one to do it that way. Before that, it was like, yo, your style is dope, but your power, so it was always, you looked at everybody. The New York City Breakers, for those that don't know, it was always called rocking. Scrambling Feet Rockers, Bronx Boy Rocking Crew, everything was rocking. Do you know the first group to use the name Breakers? Do you know who that is?
New
The New
York.
York City Breakers. So just to give you an idea of the impact, okay? So when we say we're going to use breakers instead of rockers, everybody became breakers. Okay? We decided we're going to wear the skin tight suits. Everybody wearing spandex. Now keep in mind, we're
Yeah,
from the
some
Bronx.
horrible fits. It's some horrible fits.
but you see what I'm saying?
Let's talk about the Olympics for a minute. That concept is created by B-boy action.
Yes, I saw I saw some clips of you where you talked about it and he made the photo, right? And
Yes.
everybody signed it and this crazy. Crazy.
Now he did that. I've not seen one interview where Michael Holman says action is the one that came to me with that idea, and I loved it so much I wanted to promote it. Instead, he tries to make it seem as though he came up with the idea. Oh, I saw the breakers. I thought it should be in the Olympics. No, 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 no. Action said it should be in the Olympics, and you thought it was a good idea, so we
And
went.
and you called out the athletic department, the floor guys and girls. Did they accept the battle offer?
They would never accept because you got to remember we were amateurs.
And I mean, how can you battle them? I mean,
Right.
But think about it. So when we first did this, right? Everybody, oh, you're not the first. We said it. They said it. Everybody said that.
yeah.
I said, show me the footage.
Mhm.
Show me the photo. We got a photo.
You have a
That's
photo,
dated.
yeah? Everybody signed it, yes.
Right. And I said, we got the photo and we got the interview. And I said, I'll tell you one better. Go take a picture of the New York City Breakers and go take a picture of the Olympics, 1984. Now show me another B-boy crew that looks like the Olympics. New York City Breakers are the only ones in full skin tight. What do you look at the Olympics? Full skin tight. Now we from the Bronx. You do that in the Bronx, you're gonna get smashed. You may not come home. So that's a big step. That's a big statement. For you to do something like
But
that,
you were really untouchable.
Man.
and for the Olympic Committee not to include action is karma.
It's a shame, yeah.
It's embarrassing. How do you celebrate the electricity and then you don't acknowledge the person who created the light bulb?
Mm-hmm.
How do you celebrate the automobile and you don't celebrate the guy who created the automobile?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
That's politics.
Mm-hmm.
And we do it to ourselves because the people that were helping with that, the B-boys that knew that I spoke to, they didn't advocate.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't advocate like, yo, we got to include at least action. We can't do all of the New York City Breakers, but at least action?
The guy whose idea it was, man. I didn't knew that. I didn't.
How do you celebrate the Jackson 5 and you
Without
leave out
Michael.
Michael Jackson.
Yeah, this is not possible. I didn't know all of this. I just made the research for our podcast and then I found this out. This is crazy. I didn't know this. That's crazy. You know what? We keep it with Pexta. Yes, because he was the first complete B-boy, right?
For me,
So,
for me.
can you name, of course, for you, because it's
Here's
your
a couple
favorite
other ones.
list.
So,
So, yes, so sorry, continue. Yes.
Pex, um,
Glide Master for me,
Hmm.
that was my best friend. You know, um, Ken Swift. Ken, I mean, Ken, you got to put on Mount Rushmore. I mean,
Prince Ken, yeah, this
yeah, Storm
to me was a game changer. I feel like he's so underrated. Not really, but he is because really,
he
to
could do it
me,
all. He could do it all.
everything, and not just that,
but he has real passion and real understanding and real knowledge. That to me is a real b-boy.
Hmm.
Just memorizing the moves, that's not you're just a copycat. You're not, you got to really live this lifestyle. You really got to be about this lifestyle. But also Mr. Wiggles, to me, Mr. Wiggles is the greatest b-boy of all time because he writes, he raps, he DJs, he locks, he pops, he rocks, he breaks, he does everything and
On a high
everything
level. On
on
a
a high,
high
right,
level.
on a high level. So to me, he's the greatest of the greatest. But if you just talk about breaking, that's Pex for me. If you talk about just like a real b-boy for me, lifestyle, culture, everything, that's Wiggles. Wiggles to me is the greatest of all times. And then as far as just breaking, then
Yeah,
it's Pex.
yes,
Those are my two favorite
I see.
all time, no
Yeah,
matter what happens.
nice.
But I mean, I love Fast Break. Fast Break is another super dope b-boy that doesn't get icy ice, just phenomenal. I mean, this Valentine Float, another super nasty brother.
Ah,
Uh,
rest in peace, Float. Yes, he was amazing. Yeah.
super another person that people don't really talk about that was super duper duper nasty was Chino from Incredible Breakers.
Oh, yes.
He was another person that was like a one-man crew, phenomenal. Dude was nasty. Tiny, who did the double for Lee on B Street. Um, he was part of Rockers Revenge. So Rockers Revenge was Incredible Breakers before Incredible Breakers.
Ah,
They
okay.
were called Rockers Revenge, and Tiny was part of that. That's Chino and Brian, and that's really where they made their name.
Hmm.
Incredible Breakers came later. They didn't get a reputation. Incredible Breakers to me is really Rockers Revenge.
Okay, I see. Yeah.
I just like when some people say New York City Breakers is really
The Floor Masters.
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the same.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rock Bench, that's where they made
Their name. That's where Chino and Brian was like, whoa,
Mhm.
Tiny, okay. When they became Incredible Breakers, that was already after for me. That was already after the scene, everything blown, everything started to die down.
Yeah.
He was like, now let's bring everybody together, let's make a power crew. And they became Incredible Breakers. And then they teamed up with another group called the Body Mechanics. And then they combined and they became the Incredible Body Mechanics. And
Oh,
then that's how everybody got hooked up together. Yeah. I did the movie called The Last Dragon. So Tiny was in The Last Dragon. Uh Joey Flash was in The Last Dragon. There was a few B-boys in there. We used to battle, we used to practice. I had my own scene. And then they cut it out. That's what I found out about editing. I was like, oh man.
that's when I found out that it.
I was like, oh man. They're like, yo, they edit you out. I'm like, oh man, who's the editor, man? But it was a good experience.
So, of course, we asked the big boys. We want to know about the big girls. Your fave five big girls.
Man. I would have to say, wow, favorite five. Wow, that's woof. I would say Honey Rockwell.
Okay.
I feel like
Oof. Give me some names. Oh my God, I'm drawing a blank. I would say, oh, Beta. Oh, Beta for sure. Beta, man, that girl. Let me tell you, Beta. Woo! Beta. Whoa, man, that little girl was on fire. She was no joke. This girl too. What is her name? It's been Jules, Lady Jules.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah.
She was down with us for a little time.
Oh, nice.
Uh, yeah, in '98, she was rocking with us.
And I guess you must love this new big girl from New York. She did the tribute. to Pexta, right? At when you didn't see the clip? This girl Emmy, she did the from Beat Street the scene, you know, when Pexta does the windmill in the
Okay.
W.
I would love to see it. No, but I mean,
She did it. She
I'm
did
sorry.
it. She did it in
No.
Red Bull BC1 Cypher, USA Cypher, in her first round, top 16, to
Wow.
pay tribute to him.
That's dope. Yeah, so I mean, if you talk about today's B girls, that's different. Logistics, man, that girl is on
I
fire.
mean, it's all time. It's all time. It's not
Think
the.
about people from the 80s, 70s, and maybe 90s, but I mean, it's hard. I mean, if you talk about today, man, let me tell you, today's B girls are no joke.
This is. If you asked me 15 years ago how the level would be, I would never say it's this level. Who could
Never.
have known?
Yes.
Hurricane 2 was dope back in the
Oh,
days.
yes, yes, yes.
So but I mean, if you talk about today, I think logistics to me is so underrated. I think she really deserved to move on in the Olympics. I thought that she got shortchanged,
Mhm.
to be honest with you. You got a couple of B girls here in New York that are up and rising, that are super dope too, that are about to kill it, you know. But I mean, man, listen, today's dance, it's not even the same dance.
Mhm.
The advancement of the moves, the technicality now. What people don't realize, what I tell people, man, we're just lying to ourselves. We were never that nice. Like, we were good, but you gotta remember, we were creating this. So this was all experimental. It
Mhm.
wasn't like I could just go to YouTube, say, okay, let me rewind that. Okay, I got it. We
There
didn't
is
have
nowadays there's like a formula. So
that.
every couple of years there is a trend how to dance, how to win, And in my opinion, what's what's missing in the most is characters. Because back in the day, you was a character. You was yourself. You express yourself how you are by the way you dress, by the way you dance, how you do your top rock, how you do your funny freezes, And nowadays we have too much trendy b-boys. They dress the same. I mean, we also dressed the same, but my kicks, we had the same kicks, but the outfit didn't look the same.
Right. No,
Yeah.
I agree.
I think that, that's one of the things I want to try to do when I do my events now. I try to do a couple events a year.
Yeah.
I try to educate them, like, you want to dance good, you got to look good. You got
Yeah.
to
I mean, I also like, and nowadays I'm more I'm not competing anymore. I'm just hosting events, and I really take care of myself. Like I need to look fresh, the colors need to match. I'm the MC. Everybody looks at me when I talk. If I look like a homeless person who doesn't know shit, nobody will scream if I say, hey, scream,
Right. Exactly.
So it's also like I want to get taken serious, you know?
Right.
And
Yes.
first thing is, how do I look? How do I leave my house? You know? So for me, this is very important, very important.
I agree. I think energy, like, like, so, so I host my own functions.
Hmm.
People used to tell me, oh, you should let this person know. No. Because to me, when I'm hosting, it's a reflection of me
Hmm.
and the energy I bring. And when that energy that I offer, I want everyone to feed off of that energy.
Yes, yes,
So if
100%.
you're not feeding off of that energy, then I'm not doing my job.
Yeah, 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 100%.
So there has to be a connection. And
Yes.
I feel like I don't do, I'm trying to bring back the jam. So I don't do competitions, even though I have competitions. When I do my events, the dances, they call them breaking events.
Please ask me what my other event is called.
What's your other event called?
Your favorite jam. I have 4 hours cipher only, and then we only have a semi-final and final. But the main thing is the DJ plays music and we just jam together.
So that's what I'm trying to change.
The other thing that I'm trying to change is I want to bring back the crew. There's no more crews.
Yes, 100%. I want crew battles. I need crew battles.
Yep. So I stopped doing one-on-ones.
Yeah.
Everything has to be 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 minimum.
Yes. One is the cheapest way, right?
Yeah, but it's also, so that's the other thing. So like when I started doing, so funny because I have this on film. When I started doing these events, we didn't have rounds.
Yeah.
I just said, look, we're gonna play 3 records. You have 15 minutes.
Hmm.
The last 2 dances, we'll let you know. Last 2 moves. There were no everybody go down one time.
There was no top 16, top 8
Right. It was
semifinal. Yeah.
Right. So we only did in the beginning,
we only did crews.
Hmm.
There were no individuals. So Battle of the Boroughs, we only did 4 crews. We never did more than that because it would take too long. So
Yeah.
we basically had the club for maybe 8 hours. We maybe start at 7 and maybe finish at like 5 in the morning or something like that or whatever. But that's what it was. And it was basically jamming and maybe 1 hour was the battle.
Yeah. 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 Of course, the competition is not important. This is not.
every
Yeah.
so
I feel like when I left the scene in 2000, after I had my TV show,
Hmm.
I wanted to do a nonprofit. I wanted to raise my son. I wanted to do some stuff with them. And when I came back, that's when I saw Red Bull and Monster and all these other companies come in. And then I saw everything became one on one.
Yeah.
Then I saw Silverback come in and he started doing first, second, third, fourth, fifth places. And then I started seeing how everything started to change. Now it became more of a business, even for the dancers. It became more of a business. Now you got to fly me out. Now you got to pay me. Now
Yeah.
it's got to be something. I don't want to just go there just to dance.
Mhm.
So that changed everything. So now I'm trying to go back the other way. And we're having some success so far. But,
So it will come back for sure. I mean, and there is, like I always said, when people criticize the Olympics, let the Olympics be the Olympics. It's not what makes us. If Olympics is not breaking, it's just another event. Don't attend, don't watch. Go along with your life. Do your event on yourself, Stop complaining, do something about it,
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So
I don't knock the Olympics. I'm not happy, of course, but listen, it's a platform that started through the New York City Breakers.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
even with
100%. I will
right,
spread the word, brother. For all the viewers I have and followers, I will spread the word.
yeah, so
And
even
all the problems and all their flaws, I still support it because the idea is our idea.
yes, 100%.
it's just
I saw
bad.
the proof. I saw the proof.
Yeah, it's just bad that the people that are behind it.
Don't want to acknowledge real history. And that's why I think people don't respect the Olympics. That's why I think people don't respect the people that are behind the Olympics because they feel like how do you shame the New York City Breakers? At least, like I said, at least action, at the very least.
Mm.
So, listen, I think that when it's all said and done, the New York City Breakers are the only OG original old school crew that are still together. We lost 2 members, Glide Master and Little Lap, because they passed away, but we're still together. We were all just together the other day. All of us.
That's
Icy
wonderful.
Ice, everybody.
That's
So
wonderful. Yeah.
yeah, so it's important that people understand the real history because the truth is history started to change because of New York City Breakers. We had a major part in this, not a little part, a major part. And I'm hoping that the rest of the world catches up and understands the pivotal role that we played in this, as a group and as individuals. I mean, I created Freestyle Fridays that was on 106 in Park that went all the way around the world.
Nice.
That's from New York City Breakers. Like we did some work. We put some, we did some nice stuff in here. So it would be nice at some point that our story will eventually start to come out. The
Well,
king.
brother, I'm on your team. If I go viral, you guys go viral too. Yeah. So unfortunately, bro, I need to go to work. I could have talked to you for a couple of more hours. I hope we can do a round two soon. And
yeah,
then we will also build the perfect breakout. We didn't do it now, but we're gonna do it in the second part because we still can. I guess you still have a lot more stories to tell.
yeah. So real quick before you let me go,
Yes, brother.
Let me just I want you to see. Let me see if I can do this real quick.
Of course.
My little studio here.
Hmm.
so this is my little studio.
This is your dungeon.
Yeah.
Nice, brother. Yes. This is where you record your videos too, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
So you
All
can see
history. All history here, huh?
all of this is history.
Damn, son.
All of this is history.
Damn, damn, damn. Well, if I ever visit New York again, I will gladly visit you in this place, sir.
Oh yeah, for sure. That would be awesome. That would be
I'm
great. You
looking
kidding
forward.
me?
I mean, we could just do a podcast about the room, bro.
Oh yeah, bro. Look at that. You kidding me, bro? Look at all this back to Mecca stuff. Yeah, eventually.
That's nice.
Yeah, man. So hopefully we get to do it again real soon.
So for sure, we're gonna do a part two, and also, it's maybe interesting for you also. I will do a live podcast in August at the Notorious IBE. Oh, nice! Look at these pictures. Queen Latifah. Oh, oh, I love him. Damn, son. Nice pictures, bro.
Yeah, man. I'm telling you, go back. Look,
Nice,
my back from back in the days.
nice,
My little DJ back there.
nice.
Yeah, it was set up. Yeah. So, like I said, next time, hopefully,
Yes, yes. And I won't miscalculate the time again.
no worries. Trust me.
So yeah, what I wanted to say is I'm gonna do a podcast, a live podcast at the Notorious IPE, and I will publish my own personal. Hey, it's really good that you said for you it started in 75,
Uh,
because I will do a podcast about the 50 greatest breakers ever, you know.
oh, yeah,
But
let's go.
just my opinion, of course. And then
Right.
every because there cannot be a perfect list. So I just give the people 50 names and then they can discuss about it and everything. So look out for this. Thank you everybody for tuning in. Subscribe now. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Please follow this gentleman at Bboy London on Instagram. Amazing videos, amazing stories. I also found your YouTube channel. It needs to have more followers and viewers. It's crazy. The knowledge is amazing. I was watching like this, So shout out to you, brother. Thank you so much for taking your time. We're gonna do a part two very, very soon. Shout out to all the patrons. Yeah, you can support us monthly. We have the giveaway for the Crash Fest is still going for 2 weeks. So become a patron now. You can watch Crash Fest from the VIP experience. And yeah, that was your favorite breaking show with your favorite B-boy host. Peace.